Today in the smartphone market, we find ourselves with iPhones and Samsung devices dominating the high-end market, flagship killers like the OnePlus phones ruling the premium mid-range segment. What does that leave us in the mid-range market? Today, I'm going to be looking at the Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro, a $400 flagship killer with an all-screen display and a few tricks up its sleeve. The Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro, also known as the Redmi K20 Pro in some markets, is a $400 Android smartphone that delivers flagship-level performance, build, and quality for the price of a mid-range phone. Following the philosophy of the flagship killer used by many manufacturers like OnePlus, this phone offers flagship features at a fraction of the cost. Its main differentiating feature is its all-screen display. It's free of any notches, hole punches, or any other screen obstructions. That leaves one question: where did they put the front-facing camera? It achieves this futuristic design in a unique way: a pop-up selfie camera. The Mi 9T Pro follows the typical glass sandwich design that we see in many high-end phones these days. Glass front, metal band in the middle, and glass back. The phone is solidly built, and it feels like it is hundreds of dollars more expensive than it really is. One thing that makes this phone stand out from the crowd is its back glass design. Xiaomi says it's designed by a flame, having a 3D holographic effect that changes with light and angle. On the bottom, we have a USB Type-C port, which is capable of up to 27-watt fast charging, and our bottom firing speaker setup. On the right side, we see our volume rocker and power button, the latter of which is accented in red on my model. Finally, up top we have the classic 3.5mm headphone jack, which is always nice to see, and our cutout for the pop-up camera. This phone is powered by the flagship-level Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 processor, which is currently the second fastest Snapdragon CPU on the market. This also means that this phone has the same processor as many more expensive flagship devices, such as the Galaxy Note 10 and the Pixel 4, both of which will cost you more than twice the cost of this phone. It has either 6 or 8 gigs of RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of storage, which is plenty to store numerous apps, games, and photos. In terms of biometric authentication, it has an optical under-display fingerprint sensor, which is extremely futuristic and frees up space on the back of the phone. In terms of battery, this phone has a large 4000 mAh battery, which easily gets me 1.5 days off of single charge. And as I mentioned earlier, it can fast charge it up to 27 watts, meaning you only have to leave it on the charger for less than an hour to get near full charge. Frequently, I find myself not charging it at night and instead charging it in the morning while I prepare for the day. The battery doesn't deplete enough during the day to justify charging it all night, and it charges plenty fast enough during the morning. Now on to display. The display on this phone is the first thing that stands out as soon as you see it. Not only does it cover nearly the entire screen with a calculated screen-to-body ratio of 86.1%, it also has the specs to back up its looks. It has a 6.4-inch Full HD Plus 19.5x9 Super AMOLED panel with a resolution of 2340 by 1080 and pixel density of 403 ppi. So it isn't as high-res as, say, the Galaxy lineup with their 1440p displays, nor is it as high refresh rate as the OnePlus phones at only 60Hz, but this phone is also only a fraction of their price. The screen is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 5, which is plenty tough enough to run without a screen protector. As I mentioned earlier, this phone has a single bottom-firing speaker. It would have been nice to allow the loudspeaker to be used for media, but the one speaker on the bottom gets plenty loud and sounds good. It also has a headphone jack, which sounds great with the headphones I've tried it with. In terms of software, this phone shipped with Android 9 Pie out of the box, with Xiaomi's MIUI 10 skin on top. Although since then I have already gotten the Android 10 update, which is quite a fast update compared to my Moto G7, which still hasn't gotten it. Speaking of MIUI itself, it's quite heavy compared to stock Android, but nothing that the Snapdragon 855 inside can't handle. It has its own proprietary gestures, which are much better than stock Android Pie gestures in my opinion, but of course you can always revert back to the classic 3-button navigation. I personally use Poco Launcher with this phone. Since it was also designed by Xiaomi, it has great integrations with the MIUI animations and looks great. The biggest hurdle is definitely the fact that MIUI is such a departure from stock Android that I was used to, so it definitely took some time to get used to everything. In terms of cameras, on the rear we have a triple camera layout, with the main sensor being a 48 megapixel f1.75 Sony IMX586, and the other two being a 13 megapixel ultra-wide and an 8 megapixel 2x telephoto camera. On the front, of course, we have the 20 megapixel motorized pop-up camera, which lights up and can even play a little jingle when it goes up and down. None of the cameras have optical image stabilization, which is a shame, but the built-in software stabilization works great and even uses the gyroscope and accelerometer to assist. The rear camera can shoot in up to 4K 60 FPS, but the software stabilization only works at 30 FPS, at least for the stock camera app. Personally, I ditched the stock camera app and use Gcam, which is a ported version of the Google camera from the Pixel phones. It produces much better pictures in my opinion since it uses nearly the same code as the Google Pixels do. Overall, this is a great phone that competes nicely with flagships that cost more than double. It offers feature, quality, and performance expected out of flagship phones. And for the price of only $400, this is an absolute steal for the features you're getting. The cameras are great, the battery lasts long, the design is stunning, and the display looks amazing. What more can you ask from a phone in 2020? I'm Cool Guy. This has been my review of the Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button just below this video. If you'd like to watch more from me, I've picked out 2 videos on the left just for you. If you'd like to subscribe, there's my icon on the right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! No one watches this far in the video, do they?